Obviously. Yes, we are. We're enjoying playing football. We're enjoying coming together as a group, you know what I mean, of individuals, as a family, and letting it rip, just turning loose, all right? Just, you know, taking that negative energy, positive energy, and making the best of it.
Why are you so sweaty?
That was fun. You see what just happened back there? Again, man, when I step out on the football field, again, I come alive, right? That's why I said the energy, it's real. And sometimes, again, you know, stopping when I did at the peak of my career, you know, I mean, I'm still in shape and I can still run around. Sometimes I'm like, dang, man, I probably should have kept the helmet on a little while longer. But, you know, I get out here and I enjoy it. Plus, like I said, I got to stay in shape. I got to still be able to, if one of these young boys want to challenge me, I still got to be able to D them up, you know what I mean? So I have fun.
So who am I supposed to now get to challenge you to because you bring that up, I can't let that go.
I mean, good luck. Good luck. I mean, who has the best shot? Nobody.
Coach, can you just talk a little bit about that post-game speech of yours that has kind of gotten so much traction just everywhere, and what that was like for you to give?
It wasn't planned. It was something that just kind of tapped me on my shoulder and had me look back at the scoreboard, you know, because that's what I do. I don't pay attention to the scoreboard or any of the other numbers outside of the play clock during the game, you know, for situational purposes. So when I look back at both columns, as far as total yards and rushing and passing, you know, defense, you know, it hit me that this team is better than what we've showcased to date. And so I wanted to remind them of who they are, you know, and why they're here. You know, they're the best of 2 to 3% in the world right now, right? Going from high school football to college. So I wanted to keep them encouraged, and I wanted to remind them that football is tough, and sometimes you can play so eloquently and close to perfect and still not reach the outcome that you want, but you still have the ability to go out and right the wrong week in and week out until the season comes to a close.
How have you approached the bye week, getting more comfortable with your new position?
Just getting to know the players, right, on a more personal level, and just settling into the hand that I was dealt, and accepting my role, and just letting everybody know involved that I'm here for them, and that's the only reason why I'm here. I have no ulterior motives, and really just wanting everybody to rest up mentally, rest up physically, get back to the love of football that they knew, you know, when they were in high school, little league, and just really just show them that I really am one of them, right? The for the players, by the players is genuine. And, you know, I know there's probably still a few still kind of hesitant looking back like, is he for real? And so it's just the individual conversations that I'm having with guys that I probably never had before just being a position coach. So I wanted to take this time to really relax, refresh, get to know, and develop is what you've seen out here, which will kind of be a reoccurring theme throughout the season.
Coach, can you just kind of talk about everything that happened? Just is everything starting to finally calm down a little bit, just in terms of not necessarily you as head coach, but all the, you know, with Coach Anderson leaving and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, absolutely. But, I mean, I would be lying if I told you, you know, every now and again I didn't think about it, right? It's still there because it's still something for me, and I'm not speaking for anyone else, but something for me that's traumatic that happened.
Right.
But, I mean, this is not the first traumatic event, you know, in my life to date. So it's there. But, again, just as quick as it comes, the reminder comes, it leaves, you know, even quicker, because there's still a task at hand, and I'm up for the challenge of that.
You mentioned last week that you really like this kind of old-style ground and pound team. Stanford is the epitome of that.
Yes.
And how has this kind of bye week help you get ready for that for Stanford?
Well, the thing is, we got to establish the run, and we got to make sure that we match tough on tough and be tougher. And this bye week has been that. And it doesn't have to always, like I said, just be physical, right? It's the mental gymnastics of it as well. And so, yes, Stanford, you know, they play the brand of ball that I know and love. And knowing and loving that brand of ball, also know the mentality of the players and the coaches involved with it. The thing is, I have the same mentality. I'm the same fearless type guy. And if I could, like I said, I would be the 12th man, and I would put a helmet on, and I'd be hitting a tackle or a guard or a quarterback in a doggone self.
What did you kind of see from Stanford and their they kind of beat down Oregon last week from that film? What have you seen that they do really well in terms of just top to bottom?
I mean, at Stanford, they play together, right? They play smart. They run the ball efficiently and effectively, and they control the time of possession. Again, their gap schemes, their zone, their stretch, they run it. I mean, that's who they are. You can tell that's their identity. That's what they do week in and week out. You know, they know it like the back of their hand. So you just go, like I said, you go into a game week like this and you know that Stanford's coming in here. You know that they're not going to change. But you know that there is a need for change, not very much,
Right.
but some structural things that still need to change. And then you just work towards that, right? And then you give the athlete the confidence to go out and execute a game plan for 4 quarters long. And I think that's what you do moving forward and preparing for Stanford.
How would the team respond to all this, would you say?
To everything that has gone on past week or everything in the bye week, in what
Well,
regards?
Responded to first the trauma that you talked about, and then playing well and not winning the game, and then your speech, trying to challenge them to take the positives and move forward. How have they responded to it?
And they get it. You know, as a player, I know how to touch on the right nerves of other players. They get it, right? They understand that it is a tougher than you, better than you, beat you, do my 111th, Coach Cook likes to say. And they understood that. They understood that the goal was to inflict pain. They understood that when they focused on that goal, games change, right? Now, like I said during that speech, change doesn't happen overnight. But when you speak and you constantly put that in the minds of warriors, eventually it'll go through kind of like the ripple effect, right? So it'll go from one, the right one, and it's infectious. It'll spread amongst the many. And before you know it, you saw this young defense. A lot of players played that people don't even know about. And that's what we were speaking of as far as development. Once it spreads, it's infectious. And once that becomes the norm or the identity, I'm telling you, whether I'm here or not, right? You better watch out. Just watch out.
Having been a former NFL player, what kind of validity does that give you that maybe others that weren't players in the NFL give you with your players?
Well, being a player and understanding the needs of players, they get it, right? Because I can talk about a certain situation, a certain feeling, right? I could describe a feeling of that first initial kickoff, right? When you're coming out there, you're getting lined up, and your pulse is dancing on your tongue, right? Your heart rate is dancing on your tongue. You got knots in your stomach, and then all you do is you let that out, and that fire comes out, and it's time to play. And once the ball kicks, there's no turning back. So I can paint that vivid picture to them, and I can describe a feeling that strikes a certain nerve. So being from the NFL, and then when I say that, and I give those speeches, you go look and you see how other NFL players are. That's the fraternity that I'm a part of, and they understand it and they respect that because a lot of them aspire, right, to reach that level. And they understand that it's only the top 1 or 2% in the world that can obtain or achieve that. But in describing those experiences, it's still about football, and it's just about football at the highest level. I tell them every practice should be like an all-star performance for you because that's what the NFL is, right? Those practices, that's why when a scuffle breaks out, you like that. You see scuffles break out in the NFL all the time. That lets you know that the player's invested, that I care. It's not that I don't have reverence for you. It's not that I don't love you as a teammate. It's that, it's business. And when we step on this field, this is our earth, right? This is a different world. And so when I speak to them like that, they understand it because when they're out here and those pads are popping, right, and they're sweating, I tell them now, I'm a coach. I don't bleed, I don't scrape, I don't bump, I don't bruise unless I cause, that affliction upon myself. But I don't do that. You guys do that. And you guys got to come together and make sure, that the chess match of the game of football is put together, is well put together, and then you take care of the physical aspect of it out on the football field.
A couple of times now, you talked about it as a cornerbacks coach. I remember talking with you where you said, you have that alter ego. You know, Xavier needs to be X. You know, you kind of said things like that. As the football team, now that you're the head coach, flip that switch to a new mentality.
Yes, I mean definitely. I'd say just how loose they are now, and you know they were like that before, but I think some of them were a little unsure, a little more reserved. But it's turning, and then it's our job as staff members, right, just to keep it turning. You know, me, I'm there. I'm no different than the rest of the staff, you know, and I don't see myself any different. I'm going out and I'm enjoying football the way I've always enjoyed it. And so those players are feeding off the coaches. The players are feeding off of each other, and that mentality is starting to take shape, take form.
Sort of a weird situation where it's not 1 week between games or 2 weeks between, but a week and a half. How do you approach that? Do you approach it any differently than this is a normal bye week, or does it give you more time to prepare for Stanford, or how do you look at it?
Well, I look at it kind of twofold, right? I mean, it's a great time to get a head start, right, to jump on the opponent, but also you have the ability to become better familiar with the scheme and the things that we're trying to do, so we can run it a lot more effective and efficiently. And so I guess 3, right? And then you get to rest some guys. You get to get them and kind of reset them for this, what I'm calling the second half of the season.
Mm-hmm. What's your goal been for the team this week?
This week, it's to understand pain principles, right? You know, you say inflict pain, but I think you have to dive in a little deeper because that can come off kind of as barbaric, right? And it's anything but. So I have my pain principles and my beliefs, and I share it with them, and so it's to each day kind of give them examples after the fact, right? Let them see how they react in certain situations, and then the next day kind of describe the situation that they were put in, and then they'll have the understanding of why, you know, things happen the way they happen. And you got to have that just understanding the game of football, understanding where you fit, understanding what you're trying to accomplish, whether you're going to, you know, running a zone scheme, gap scheme, whether we're in a, you know, odd front, oaky front, or even. So just trying to get those guys to understand that aspect and then kind of mesh the principles, the pain principles together, and just give them a better understanding because, I mean, it's new to them. So.
A little off the topic of football, but there was an AP report that came out yesterday that mentioned that the university is considering changing the name of a couple of different buildings as well as Gill Coliseum. Under Gill's tenure, he had a little over 30 years. He had one walk-on black player. What's your opinion on that? If they were to consider changing the name of Gill Coliseum?
No comment. This is the first I've heard of it. You know, I've been trying to manage other things, and what I'll do is I can look into that, and then I can, you know, better answer that question at a later date. Though,
how are you?
Now, I'm not too well informed on that right now at this moment.
How are you handling all the things that go into being a head coach that don't have to do with the team?
I mean, I'm taking it all in stride, right? I'm used to being in those defensive meetings, and I am, you know, but it's kind of in part here, there. Choppy, kind of, you know, broken up, but I'm everywhere, right? I'm in the corners room, the safeties room, and I'm still coaching.
And, you've also got media demands. You got to deal with the
right,
public. I mean, how has that changed your life?
Well, the time, right? It's a time commitment, and it's nothing that I'm not used to because, you know, being a former NFL player, you know, being a business owner, I understand that you guys are my partners, right? That's what we are. We're in a partnership as well. And so, again, you can't have one without the other. So accepting this role, I accept all of that as well. And try to give you guys as much pertinent information as I possibly can as it comes to me, you know, and trying to juggle still being a coach.
What about being a husband and a father? You got that on your plate as well.
I still got that duty. I still have to go home and try to rub mom's swollen feet. You know, I have been doing a poor job of putting the dishes. I'm very domesticated. People don't know that about me. But the past couple of nights, I've kind of passed out on the couch, and usually I'll help her with the dishes, but I've been kind of dead fish. I still got to go home. My 4-year-old, when I come in, we have this game, she hides, and you know, she's in plain sight, so I still gotta act like I don't see her and find her. And you know, my 11-year-old, same thing. He's big into Nerf, so I have to go and get my Nerf gun. It's only 5 minutes now. I mean, but being a competitor, if I'm not winning, obviously that's extenuating circumstances. But I mean, I still have to. I'm still doing all that to the best of my ability. So.
Does your wife wake you up off the couch, or does she let you sleep there?
The other night she was just like, just stay, because I called you like 3 or 4 times, and then I ended up waking up and crawling in the bed on my own.
I think.